Quinton, just a quick one. Wanted to run you through the Zoho inventory system. So currently this is our inventory. If you click on the side here, you'll see items. You can put new items. You can even create item groups. So for example, if you wanted to create an item group, you could select a whole bunch of items. For example, DB board assembly, PV array, mounting structure for inclined roofs. You could do a couple different options for that. In the items, these are all of the items that are on the price list. So if you click on any of them, you'll start to see what we are: battery, 200 amp hour lead acid. These are all acronyms. So Victron 60 amp MPPT, and it goes on. So the product that we're using now for the PV panels, for example, is PV-555 tier 1, which I've created, and I've made it now that it's Lungi, Canadian Solar and Jinko. So we'll be quoting this going forward so that we're not stuck with one brand. So these are the items. You can do a whole bunch of inventory stuff here with receiving, dispatching, different warehouses, stuff like that. But the main function that I want to show you today is the purchase order. So instead of the PR function, which is driving me absolutely scatty, the first thing that we need to do is update the most common 300 items that we use. That is going to be the MCCBs, the armored cable, solar cable, MC4s, fuse holders, glands, shrouds, stuff like that. We don't have to worry about all of the other stuff. So in order to get an updated items list, we click on items, click on all items if you just want to refresh it, and over here you're going to go to the side and you're going to say export items. So we're going to export them in an XLS format, export without password, and Bob's your uncle, it'll be coming up. There it is. Cool, those are our items. So if we need to filter, so far there are 929 items. A lot of these things we don't have to worry about. The main stuff that we're going to focus on is the breakers that we actually use. So we don't really use for example, a 25 amp P, whatever that is. So you can get rid of the stuff that we don't really use. A 50 amp we don't use. We do use a 630 amp, but the stuff that we don't use. Happy to help you, but most of the stuff that we don't use on a regular basis. So the most common is going to be the 25 and the 35, the 4mm solar cable, stuff like that. There's a 4mm solar there. So just going back to this, that's our items. Once we update the price list, we'll just keep on saving the price list. We'll import the items and it will automatically update the prices in here. You can see there are some prices that are in here. On the sales side, on the purchase side, we're going to create a purchase order. So just look at the vendors. All of the vendors need to be 100% correct. So if we just do north side, okay, north side electrical, who are we dealing with at north side? For example, here, this is the address for north side that we're going to be contacting to. The contact people that need to be spoken to from north side. These are all of the purchase orders to Northside. So we can have a track record on this side of any purchase order that was sent to Northside, 0 to 6, 7, 9, 1, 8, 5, all by tier that did these. And you've got a history. So you can see as many as you like here going back to the beginning of the Northside stuff. So it gives us an easy track record to pull up POs. If we go into the actual vendor detail, we're going to be emailing Shorty at Northside if that's our contact. For example, if we go across here, if we go across to Bidvest, we should have Bidvest Renewables, and I am betting that we're going to be emailing. See, there's no email here, so we need to be doing Kyle at bidvestrenewables.co.za. Okay, so that'll be our contact. So now what we're going to do is we're going to create a purchase order. Okay, so we're going to start the purchase order off and we're going to send it through to Bidvest Renewables. Okay, it's automatically got their details, it's got our company details and where we want to deliver it to. Unless if we want a custom, we can select how do we want to send it. These are our customers' information. So we could send it through to Blindsmart or Bluff Meat Supplies and it'll pull up the client's email or shipping address. Obviously if we've got their shipping address, not their postal address. In this case we want them to deliver it to the warehouse, which is our Durban warehouse, which is that's the address there. Automatically generates a PO number. The reference in this case is going to be test project. Okay, and we need to get into the habit of creating, if this is test project, this is going to be the project procurement, for example. So from there, everything else is sorted. Expected dates, we can also tell our supplier, it'll pull up into the email that we need this by next week, Tuesday or Monday, and they need to deliver it to our warehouse, deliver to site, expediters, collect from supplier, stuff like that. But in this case, we are delivering to the warehouse. This is just a note, so it helps us carry it through. So for Kyle, we're going to need to have a SunSync 50 kilowatt inverter. Okay. And it's going to pull up the price, for example, when our price list is correct, that we're buying these things at 95,250 from Kyle. Okay, it'll automatically come through here. And let's say, for example, we are going to get a Freedom 1-100. Sorry, Freedom. I'm going to get the code right. Freedom. They've saved it as Bat Freedom 1. Okay, there it is. Battery Freedom 1-100. And obviously if the price list is correct, it'll pull it up here that this is going to be 365,250. Okay, so there's it. It's automatically going to be emailing to Kyle at Bidvest. So if I say save and send, now this is the PR. It's going to be emailed to him. It's going to say, Dear Bidvest Renewables, a purchase order from our details. It'll attach the document over here. And it'll send it, kind regards Taryn. So we can change any of this stuff here in the actual template. So if I say save, it's gonna do it. If I click on the purchase order, let's just save it to our downloads. Sorry, that's if I want to attach it. So I'm not going to send it. Let's keep it as a draft. The next thing that happens over here is once it's ordered, let's say it's marked as issued, this will be the next step. Okay, there's the purchase order details. On their system, it needs to reflect that these guys can only send a purchase order. Okay, and once it comes through, we can approve it for payment. So this over here will change from issued. There's different statuses that you can get. You can get received, issued, approved. We can control it through the whole process, but the main thing is that we need to have the price list correct. So here's our Bidvest Renewables. If our price list says that it's 1.6 million, the quote's going to come back. So there's a couple things that we can do here. Okay, we can attach stuff to this. Right inside here, where is it? It is. So if we received it. Sorry, I just have to find it. I will find it and get back to you. Attachments. You can add the quote to this. So at any time we can pull up linked documents. The main thing, this would not be my quote. We had a discussion about this. The ones that I typed do not say as per quotation. So I'll find it, but we'll have a look at the quote and it'll say that is 1.3 million and we'll get the quote back and it'll say 1.5 million. Therefore, if the PO doesn't match within 3% of the quote, it has to be taken to management to assess. But in this way, what's going to happen now is that we start to create a list of these purchase orders that have been issued. So we go into reports and we can pull a whole bunch of stuff here, but the purchase order details, and we can filter it by this. So we can start having a look at which purchase orders are still there. Now once we've got the purchase order, and we've said that it's been paid, we can convert it into a bill, and we can say these guys can receive it, which means that that stock will automatically go into our stock control system. So we can do some fancy foot with this. I'm happy to clean it all up. Everything starts with a sales order. Naturally over here with the sales order we would have the customer that it's linked to, which means that everything starts to get linked to this customer specifically. The sales order becomes a purchase order. And the good thing about this is if we start a project off, we can use a package, okay? And we can use the shipment sections of this. Which allows us to click on one item here and it'll pull up a full bill of material, and we can say what do we want, what do we not want. When we create a purchase order linked to a sales order, if there's anything that we haven't ordered, it'll take it off of the sales order and say, right, you've still got to order X, Y, and Z, and then we just add that to a new purchase order and send it out to the various supplier. That's where the efficiency can come with this program. So the sales order, you've got to start with the process. So let's just quickly do one. For example, the Renewable Resources Company, Johannesburg, it says reference is test sales order project. So that would be the project name. Expected shipment date is the 12th. Payment terms, delivery, it needs to be delivered to our warehouse. It's going to be the Durban. Now we can add a number of warehouses: Swaziland, Joburg, anything along those lines. So let's say, for example, that we are going to have a lug, okay, 95 mil. We're going to have 10 of those, and we're going to have a cable, CAB-95, 4-core trailing, and we need 160 meters of that. And then you're going to have a gland, okay, you're going to have a gland number 5, ECG, and at the DB board, according to it, we need a 10. You can see there's a picture on here as well, so it can also show you what it looks like. So they need to update what the cable picture looks like. And then over here we're going to have a DB 120. Okay, so that'll be the distribution board 120. And then we'll have a BR-125 amp 4-pole. Okay, cool. So there's our breaker. Let's rather go with a MCCB-125. Okay, so we rather have a molded case breaker for this thing. So there'll be 2 of those. Oh look, they've got Haga. How special, huh? They know I hate it. Okay, so the other thing could be an MCCB-250. Sorry, -250. MCCB. They don't have it on here. Okay, we can just add it. Okay, so there's it there. So let's just create the sales order. Okay, once it's here, right, we can do submit for approval. So this is for this customer. It'll be linked to the customer spend, right? So let's say it's approved. I'm going to approve it. You can make anybody in the company that approves it. So once this starts, it means that we need to purchase this stuff. So then from there, okay, mark is confirmed. Send sales order means that we've sent it through to the customer. It's been approved. We've got a track record. We're then going to create a purchase order from it. Give it a second. My internet can't be slow here. Maybe I'm impatient. Okay, so now we've got a few things that we can do. We can convert it into an invoice. We can create a package. So let's say if we've got a package, we can have this. So we can create a package that's saying I'm going to ship this stuff to site, but in actual fact, we've ordered 10, but I'm only going to pack 5. Okay. Select and scan. You can select and scan ordered. Stock 2 on hand. Quantity to pack 5. Okay. 160, we're only going to pack 10. 100. Okay. And we're going to pack 1 there. We're going to say save. Okay, so that's a package. So the nice thing about this is you get a nice sheet that says this is the stuff that we're sending through to Joburg. Okay, but when we go back to the sales order, we go back to the same sales order. What happens now is we say, okay, so we create another package, and it says here only the remaining stuff that's left. We've got 60 meters still to send, we've still got 5 to send, and we've still got 9 to send. So there's no thinking involved here. So even if we do short send stuff, we create this thing in the beginning and it automatically keeps every single item. So if we've sent it, for example, here it gives a packing list and a date. Okay, now once you've gone into the package, so it'll just close that. Here's the exact one over here, this package. So if you have a look at it, there it is, there's the packing thing. Okay, so now what are we doing? Are we going to ship it? We're going to ship it manually. So if we're shipping it, now it's going to ask you a bunch of questions. Okay, what is the information? Who are we shipping it to? Have we already shipped it? Okay, so there is nothing. Is there any additional charges associated? And there's the picking slip. So Kulani sent it to JHB with Trevor. Okay, and it's been shipped already. The date that it was shipped, it was sent on the 5th. Okay, and it was sent at 8 o'clock. Okay, send a notification. Okay, what is it asking? Please enter carrier. Carrier type, it was delivered to warehouse. Once again, we can have different warehouses there. So if you go to our package, that package now moves from package not shipped, okay, to package delivered. Right, now if it's shipped, it means that it hasn't been received yet. But yeah, it says it's been delivered. So I can have a look at everything about this. It's been delivered. Okay, it was delivered to the warehouse, and we can keep track on it. If we now go into our comments and our history, it says everything about your Taryn created it on the 5th of September. Okay, and it was received by our friend Willem. There you go. So it just keeps a bit of a track record of what's actually going on here. So that's the package side of things. Now that keeps track of our stock. The shipment, we've got our shipments. Where is stuff going to? We've got this one. Okay, it's really obviously been delivered. But this one that's hanging, it says that it's been shipped. This is stuff that Cleo is now sent as bracket B, mini rails, blah, blah, blah. And Cleo is saying that if I go into my history, into my comments, Cleo is saying the ship created the package. Cleo created it. He hasn't said who's taken it or where it's gone. It says it's delivered to site, shipped. Okay, which tells me that it hasn't been received yet. So once it's been received, you can actually see by the packages and the way that Cleo is currently using the software that everything is delivered. If you have a look at this, can you see how often they use this already? You've got team members that are very trained, already trained on this. This has not yet gone to there. And this one, whatever's happening with Tropic Cape here, not yet shipped, is these Canadian solar panels at 38 that you're wanting to send through to Joburg. So you can already see that Cleo is using this religiously. He did it today at 1:54. He's already created the package. Now people can sign for this. People can acknowledge they've received this. There's a whole bunch of stuff that you can do with it. Okay. So on the purchase orders, what you can also do, if you go across, and hopefully I get it right on the video, you can go across here. And no, I'll have to have a look for it. But the nice thing is that with your purchase orders, you can use the existing sales order to create a purchase order with the exact same quantities. So I will just pull that up and do it further. My opinion, we should be using the purchase order system with an updated price list as a matter of urgency. I'm happy to highlight all of the products that are uber vital, but we do need to have a purchase order system that's being used. We cannot have something like this. I've seen hundreds of them as per invoice. It makes no sense at all. The product needs to be there. We've got all the product codes, as simple as putting it in. If they were going to be doing something here, wouldn't type, we would say that this is going to be a CAB-35 armored cable. There it is there, and it was 10 meters. So that's exactly what it is. We need to see that the purchase order needs to go out to the supplier, and we're using the purchase order system to verify the price is correct as per the quote that's been returned, or the invoice that's been returned to us. So this is a system that allows us to check it. You can do a lot more through the system, which you guys need to play around with. As for reporting, inventory summary and stuff like this is absolutely amazing. If you go through this month and have a look at what's been shipped, okay, 70mm joiner kit, 2 of them, 250 sandals. So you have a look at, for example, MC4s, MC4 must be here, can't not be here, maybe I'm typing it incorrectly. Battery, we've sent 5. I mean, we can even click and find out where these batteries went to. Bolts, 350. So you can export this if you want to try and do a this year type of scenario. You can start to have a look at and you can filter this custom report status all in the warehouse. You can start having a look at what we actually use a lot of and start keeping it. How often do we purchase it? Okay, quantity in, quantity out, committed stock, available, sales, and start having a look at what the stock is about. 5mm star washers. We've used 5,000 of them this year. So that's like 500 a month basically. So yeah, on your reporting side, you can do a hell of a lot with the system. Warehouse reports, so if you've got different warehouses, you can also say, at one stage we did have the Swaziland warehouse. This is only going to be for the one warehouse. You can select different warehouses, but this is obviously, there's the Eswatini one, but it's non-functional at the moment. So Gauteng, Eswatini, Durban, and then you can start having a look at the exact product. So for example, let's try it here, MC4. I still can't believe it's not there. Let's say lug madness, absolute madness. So maybe they're not using that exact code, but a box 8-way, it's at the moment we've got nothing in stock. 100 amp 2-pole breaker, we got 21 at the Durban factory, but nothing at the other 2. So this allows us to just manage our stock. If we want to update it, we can go into that exact product, okay, and we can adjust the stock levels and say, right, in actual fact, at the warehouse, the Durban warehouse, we have got the new quantity. We've actually got 16 of these little guys in stock, which is 2 adjusted. That's the cost price, and the reason for we did a stock take. Return from site, return from Vista. There is a stock taking result. There you go. So we can save as draft if you want to manage it to confirm it. That's what the product looks like, so it helps you guys. A lot of these products have pictures already. So 100 amp 2-pole breaker, boom, there it is. Perfect. So it's adjusted. If you go back into it now, you'll have a look that the stock's been adjusted to 16. So once we do a stock take and it gets uploaded onto here, then this can be used as a real reference that if I click on and say how many MC4s do we have, which I still can't believe is not coming up, but there it is. Durban, we got 14. These are inactive. We can activate them again. We can have 5 there, 2 there. And when people send stuff out, they use the exact same system in all 3 warehouses, and it keeps control of it. So that's just a bit of a helpful little video. I hope it helped you guys get started.